Want to also put this on? So we're all set up, right? We're rolling, right? All right. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Jitters Jib Jab, your source for all the latest jib jab. I'm your host, Johnny Jonathan JT Jitters Joiny. I don't give a fuck what you call me. Just remember to tune in, pay attention to what's being said. So, this is my podcast. You know, we got some good stuff in store for you. I've got my notes all set up. I've got my friend slash figment of my imagination, Dave. He's producing this. He set all this up for us. So I just want to give him a big thank you for doing this for me. Means a lot to me, my man. But yeah, so there's a lot of stuff going on. I don't really even know where to start, but one of my hippie liberal douche friends sent me an article about Elon Musk and how he's a piece of shit because there was a coup in Bolivia. I don't know what the fuck Elon has to do with Bolivian coups, but apparently he tweeted about it one time, something along the lines, there was an article about the coup in Bolivia. The president there got elected and overthrown, supposedly with the support of the CIA. Nobody knows what they actually do. But apparently after that news broke, Elon tweeted, in quotes, "We'll coup anyone we want," something along those lines. And then people took him literally. Like, that specific tweet is what overthrew this fucking country. And that just makes no sense to me, because if you look at literally this article is quoting him in this tweet like he's not being sarcastic. Like, I would like to actually, I'm gonna pull it up and we're gonna show you literally what this is, because it's the most ridiculous thing in the world. Like, coup tweet. So here's this Bolivian coup tweet. Elon Musk, we will coup whoever we want. Deal with it. Deal with it. Deal with it. Now, there's only a handful of people building rockets on their way to colonize Mars. I don't know how many people are out there doing that, but to my knowledge, there's like 3 organizations. There's SpaceX, Elon's company, Jeff Bezos' company, whatever evil fucking thing that is. I don't know the name of it. And NASA. So there's literally 3 groups that are on their way to Mars. One of them has a $300 million contract with the CIA and doesn't pay taxes. The other one's Elon Musk, and the other one's NASA. So, you know, literally take your hate for Elon and give it to Jeff Bezos, because he literally has slaves. And then if you keep on looking at the article that my friend sent me, it quotes Elon talking about lithium mines. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Apparently there are mines in Africa where children dig for lithium. I thought they only dug for gold and tears. I thought that's what the African children were put to work for in these mines. I thought they were mining for tears and whatever Nancy Pelosi sucks out of their spine at the seances with Meghan Markle. But yeah, because then Elon goes on to say, then the article quotes Elon and says, well, Elon says he gets his lithium humanely from Australia, but he's still a bad person because there's child slavery in Africa. That's how that works, apparently. I didn't know that. I didn't know you could go out of your way to harvest lithium humanely and still be the worst person on the goddamn planet. That doesn't make any goddamn sense to me. But basically, if you don't know what's going on in Bolivia, there's this guy, I forget his name. He was basically just like the socialist motherfucker. Everyone's like, yeah, let's vote for him because, you know, he's a farmer. He's one of us. He's from here. And he was overthrown by this woman named Janine Áñez. And she was installed as the Presidente. The Presidente, whose entire authority was backed by corporate power and the military. And it's pretty fucking awful. She looks like, and like, I don't know if this makes me racist or not, but like, this is a Bolivian country. And when you look at pictures of these guys, I'm gonna pull up pictures for you guys, but when you look at pictures of these guys, she looks literally like a white woman straight out of Starbucks. She looks like a white woman straight out of Starbucks, and she is, for some reason, the leader of this poor South American Bolivian country. And then I can't remember what the other guy's name is. Oh my God. I don't know how I'm blanking, but look, thank God I have it in my notes. Where is it? Evo Morales. That's this guy's name. Morales. And you know what? I don't know him. He might be fucking evil too. I don't know. But when you look at a picture of him, he looks like he's straight off the Bolivian farms. He's straight off the Bolivian fucking farms. And then like when you look at pictures of the people, I'm assuming this is like his fucking cabinet, or he's just making speeches alongside. Look at this woman's fucking hat. She's literally off of a Bolivian fucking farm. Like that looks like his aunt. And she's like, yes, we pick the rice and sometimes the cocaine. But like, you know, people have picked worse crops. And the point of all this is you could just see from the pictures, like there's one woman who's literally backed by military and police. And then there's another person who's backed by farmers. And you wonder where the controversy is. But none of that's important because apparently like everything that's going on south of the border is entirely Elon Musk's fault. Yeah. But people really hate fucking Elon Musk. And I'll see this all the time on Twitter. Like there are whole groups of hundreds and thousands of people on Twitter that dislike Elon Musk because he blows up rockets in the sky. Now, I'm not a rocket scientist, but I'm willing to guess that if I wanted to go take a rocket ship and bring it to Mars and bring it back to Earth, I'd fuck up at least 2 or 3 times. Tops. Minimum tops. I don't call it what you want. At least 2 or 3 times before I successfully get that rocket back here. You know what I'm saying? So every time one of his rockets blow up, they start talking shit. Like, bro, you don't know how to build a rocket. This guy does. Let him do his thing. And then they talk shit because why are you trying to colonize Mars? Why are you trying to colonize Mars? Why can't you take all your money and save the planet first? Huh? Like it's really easy to save the planet. If you've ever thought about saving the planet from climate change and environmental disaster, which is very real, it's very real. I'm gonna start denying climate science as a bit, just to be annoying. Because maybe it must be fun. It doesn't make any sense to deny climate science, but maybe it's fun. Maybe it's fun tailgating at Trump rallies and pretending climate science isn't real. Maybe it's fun. They look wasted. I love a good tailgate. My friend brought some steaks. They smelled delicious. I could go to a Trump rally, drink some beers, you know, pwn the libs. That sounds fun. But yeah, like they say, just save the climate. Like you're going to get China, India, America, and all of Europe to just agree to get rid of fossil fuels. That doesn't make any goddamn sense. But then, so they criticize him about that. Like, Elon, why aren't you saving the environment on Earth? Like he isn't also running Tesla, which is just a renewable, an electric car company. Like he's literally positively impacting the carbon footprint on this planet with his side hustle. And you niggas are still mad at him for trying to go to Mars. Bro, when I was a kid, they literally used to tell us, dream of going to Mars to try and motivate us. And now we are so filled with hate and envy because Elon's not inviting us to Mars after our planet dies that we're mad at people who are achieving dreams that we couldn't. We're mad. We're mad because we're sitting at home, dropping out of college because we can't stop doing cocaine and playing Fortnite. We're so mad about our own failures today that when we look at somebody literally reaching for the heavens and trying to get to another planet because they're trying to save our race, we're butthurt. We're butthurt because we're not rich, we're not famous, we're not important enough to get on Elon's ship after he abandons all of us. And you know what? I know he's going to abandon all of us. I don't know what you think. I think Mars is going to be like, but I'm pretty certain I'm not invited. And I still support these motherfuckers going there. I still support them going to colonize Mars because I'm better than you. I care about our race. I'm so woke that I care more about the survival of the human race than I do about whether or not I'm invited to the party on Mars. And yes, I want to do acid on Mars with King Gizzard and Lizard Wizard too. I'm a normal human. I'm a normal person. I want to go to a concert on Mars. I want to go to the moon before I go to Mars because Mars like has this is I'm going to sound stupid for saying this, but some of you don't know this. Mars has gravity. I talked to a friend of mine the other day. And he was telling me, like, yeah, I want to go to Mars because I want to know what it's like to feel weightless and jump around. I'm like, bro, you it's not like that, bro. It's not like you're on the moon. It's smaller than Earth. There's less gravity. You'll feel lighter, but you're not going to be dunking. You don't go to Mars and turn into LeBron James. You go to the moon and turn into LeBron James. That's why I want to go to the moon. People talk about space tourism. Let me take a sip of my coffee. Hold on. I'm a little, you know. People talk about space tourism like they're going to build floating rings in orbit. And people want to go there. I don't know why they don't have an amusement park on the moon. I'll go. I would go. I'll help build it. I don't know how. I don't know how I would contribute besides being handsome and my ability to pretend I'm well endowed. I don't know how else I'd contribute. Maybe I'll bring morale. People these days, they don't have any morale. They don't have things to hope for. They look at their lives sometimes and they just need somebody to raise their spirits. And there's a lot of people in this world that they've lived their whole life in genuine darkness, and darkness that I personally know nothing about. And I'm sure some people do know about this darkness. And I don't want to ever be one of those fucking people, because that's so, like, I wish I could lift them up. But that's why people need morale. People need morale, because without morale, they kind of turn into my mother and start telling me how Black Lives Matter isn't a good idea. And I don't understand that. For those of you who don't know, my mother's a white woman. So she's literally the white devil. She's a beautiful woman. So, you know, by definition, a beautiful white woman is the white devil. Some of you don't want to hear this, but your white girlfriend is the devil. She's the devil. She's the devil, and she doesn't know it. But what people don't get, for instance, my mother the other day, I don't know how it came up, but I had to try to explain to her what Black Lives Matter is about. And to be honest, I hate the name Black Lives Matter, but the point that it's driven, the point that drives it is highly important. My mother said to me, my mother has 2 black kids, a black ex-husband, and currently a Puerto Rican man named Jesus is my stepfather. And I'm going to shit on some of these people, but I love them, and they are very intelligent. They're very smart. I have a lot of respect for these people. But nobody's perfect. But to give you context, that was to give you context. My mother's clearly not racist. There's just an issue where she doesn't understand exactly what is going on. And to highlight this, she said to me that because of Black Lives Matter, black people just think they could do whatever they want now. That is a direct quote. I'm literally quoting her. And I was so astounded when she said this, mostly because I was upset I didn't get the memo. I wish I knew I could do whatever the fuck I wanted, at least half the time. I think that's how that works when you're half black. I wish I knew I could do whatever I wanted long ago, because I would not have pants on right now. I was very upset about it. I didn't even have my gun, so I couldn't rob a liquor store. I just got the news that I could do whatever I wanted because of my skin color. But it was odd, because I thought the whole point of Black Lives Matter was that black people can't seem to do whatever they want. They get choked to death in front of convenience stores for allegedly selling cigarettes. And then they search the guy's pockets. I can't even remember this one's name, because there's so many fucking black people that have been choked to death or shot by police on camera and in broad daylight that I can't remember all of their names. I could try. I went online and tried to remember them, a few of them, and I was drowned out by the sheer volume of names of people that have been murdered by the police over the past couple years. And what my mother, and to be fair, conservatives and other retards have a good point. There will always be some bad apples. That's a very good point. The problem with this is we know there will always be some bad apples. But what we need is, when those bad apples choke somebody to death, that they at least lose their job. So if you... I don't even know what to say about this anymore. So I don't really have much more prepared to talk about with Black Lives Matter, because it's such an obvious thing that some people just don't seem to get. And it's not really necessarily their fault either. Because, for example, my mother grew up in a literally strictly Caucasian town in upstate New York. She might as well have been from that. And so, all right, this brings me to fucking upstate New York people. How are you associated with the Confederacy? That I don't get that at all. Have you ever met someone from upstate New York and they had a Confederate flag? It does not make any sense to me. Forget these people betrayed our country and tried to secede from our country, and because they wanted slaves, strictly because they wanted slaves. It's not about states' rights. They wanted slaves. What do people in New York have to do with the South? What in New York gives you so much pride about the Confederate Union that dissolved many, many moons ago? What is it? What is it? Why don't you tell me? Why don't you tell me? Why don't you tell me what it is that when you see the Confederate flag, you are so proud? What is it? I find it difficult to be proud of the American flag. If you really want to be honest with it, if you want any American, even the Confederate flag, you know what that represents? The American flag. It represents children and borders. It represents people just on the street beating up Asian people. It represents bombs in Syria after Congress votes no for it. It represents all the awful things that they say like other countries are. They'll sit here and say things like, Russia, Putin poisons his political dissidents, his enemies. And then the person who leaks Hillary Clinton's emails ends up dead mysteriously. Then they say it was suicide. Meanwhile, there were 2 gunshots to his head. How do you commit suicide twice? Dave, do you know?
Wouldn't have a goddamn clue.
Dave doesn't know. Dave doesn't know. I don't know who. So if Dave doesn't know how a person can commit suicide twice, somebody's got to know. Somebody's got to know. And then let me take another sip before I keep going. Before this shit gets cold. I hate cold coffee. Iced coffee is for iced coffee. Iced coffee is for people who shouldn't be drinking coffee. What you want is chocolate milk. You want chocolate milk. That's what you want. And I want chocolate milk too. But I'm honest with myself. I'm honest with myself about how much I love chocolate milk. I don't care how old I am. My friend walked into band practice the other day. He had like 2 6-gallon jugs of chocolate milk. I was like, what are you doing with that, bro? Can I get some? And he was like, yeah, bro. Normally people would say I have a problem. Normally people see the gallons of chocolate milk I go about town with, and they say, bro, do you have a crippling chocolate milk addiction? Papa John has a crippling N-word addiction. And I'm stealing a tweet here from Jesus Nice. I don't know if you've ever seen him, but he tweeted I don't remember the exact tweet, but he tweeted Papa John ate 30 pizzas a day, all while balancing a crippling N-word addiction. And honestly, that takes commitment. Some people don't know struggle. Some people don't know what it's like to wake up every morning and battle a vicious, debilitating, crippling N-word addiction. I suffer. I love saying it. I suffer from it. But often I don't really say it a lot. Just because I never know how someone will take it. My dad's black, and he always was like, don't say that. I was like, nigga, please. And then like I stopped saying it, because in reality, like, you know, there's just people that might feel some type of way about it. Even like other black people might be like, hey, like, I don't like that word. And, you know, my own father's evidence of that. I never hear him say that. I see my white sister say nigga every day. Every time I see her. For some reason, the white half of my family feels the need to start spitting the N-word out every time I walk through the door. So either this goes on when I'm not around, which is even weirder, or it gets bumped up a level when I am around. Pick your hell. Pick your hell. Either our government is entirely and completely inept and terrible at their jobs, or they're plotting to enslave you. Pick your hell. Tim Dillon taught me that. Tim Dillon is hilarious, and I enjoy his podcast. You should check that out. He's big enough that he can get people to talk to you about how the government perpetrated 9/11. I'm not that big yet. I'm not that big yet. I got Bolivian coups. And what I don't even know what these notes are about. Myanmar protests. There's a civil war in Myanmar. We can pull up pictures. They're just fighting the cops all around the world. All around the world. And America is crying because a Starbucks got broken into last year. America's crying over destroyed Starbucks. I remember when America was crying over Starbucks destroying small towns and small and local coffee shops. I remember when America was crying about stores like Lowe's and Home Depot and Walmart and how they were destroying small towns. Now America cries when these buildings get burned down during riots over people being choked to death in broad daylight. Bitcoin's fucking jacking up. The worse the country does, the better my Bitcoin value does. The more riots, the more people think that this world is going to end, the better Bitcoin seems to do. And this is my opinion. I'm not an economist. I've got like $20 in Bitcoin. But that's the game now. That's the game now. If you haven't been paying attention to the world, it's venture capitalism. Venture capitalism is the future. Software engineering is the future. When people are still out here trying to make art. Yeah, how'd your art degree go, pal? You went to school for art? Art? You paid people to teach you how to express yourself. I don't have words for that. Art is literally living and breathing and doing whatever you want, whenever you want. But you wanted to take out a student loan? A student loan? What, you just want to give up your Social Security before they take it away from you? Because that's what they're doing. There are people out there with student loans. And instead of collecting their Social Security check after they become 60, 65, however old you need to be, they still haven't paid off their student loan debt, so their Social Security check gets taken from them, and it goes into their student loan that will never be paid off because of the rate that interest accrues. So we live in a country where, first of all, about a decade ago, the economy collapsed because bankers were giving out what's called subprime loans, and what that is if you go to get a loan, like maybe you want to buy a house, but like you don't have any like proof of income that you could reasonably pay off this mortgage, they're not supposed to give you that loan. They're supposed to say, look, you're crazy for asking for this loan. Maybe come back when you get a better job, hippie. I don't care about where you're from or what you want to do or what any of your plans are in life. But subprime loans are when they say, fuck all that. I don't care. You don't have a job. Here's a loan. I hope you pay it back. And then what they do. So now let me take a sip before I explain this further. Oh, this is delicious. My girlfriend made a pot of coffee. She's an angel. I love her. I know she's listening. I know she's going to watch this. I want you to know, babe, we're never going to get a subprime loan. I won't let it happen. But so what that is, I forgot where I'm at. Dave's not real. He's a figment of my imagination. But yeah, basically, so what they do is, obviously, like, there's obviously no reasonable person is going to take out a loan that they see on paper they can't pay back. So what they do is they use sales tactics. They get salesmen to sell you a subprime loan. And basically what that is a marketing scheme. Or I don't even know if it's a marketing scheme, but it's some type of scheme where they convince stupid people that they can afford a loan on a house, that they have no chance of paying it back. And then whether it's 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, maybe a decade, maybe 20 fucking years, after you sink thousands of dollars into fixing up this little fixer-upper you took out a $300,000 loan for, eventually you foreclose on it after you put a bunch of money into it. And then what the banks do, or did, I don't know if there's regulation in place to prevent this now after the housing market collapsed. There might be regulation now, there might not be. But what they would do is they would foreclose on your house, and then they would put it up for auction, and they wouldn't let you participate in the auction, and then they'd buy back people's houses sometimes for as low as $350. For as low as $350, they would take your house away from you. And that's just insane to me. And then people say things like socialism causes breadlines. Predatory lending and capitalism causes mass evictions and predatory loans. Potato. There's always a bad side of anything. I was going to say there's always a bad side of every economic policy, but there's always a bad side of anything and everything. And people always forget to look at the bad side of things. I say people are too optimistic, Dave. I think people are too on the bright side of things. I think people need to look at more on the negatives. Don't talk. You're not real. Put that microphone down. You're Dave. I say people are too on the bright side of things. I feel people need to be more pessimistic. Give up on your dreams. Give up. You should. You probably should. If you're a rational human being, you should give up on your dreams, because I don't want to hear your opinion if you're a rational human being. I don't want to hear you make sense. I don't want to hear you be coherent. I don't want to hear you read a script that somebody else wrote from you. I don't want you to stare at a screen and thoroughly go through notes. I want you to turn on your camera. I want you to press record. I want you to look into it and cry for about a solid 30 minutes just so I can know you're a real person. That's it. I want authenticity. I want a real person to tell me what their day was like, because it was probably terrible. But, when anybody asks you how your day was, how things are doing, what do you say? I'm doing all right. I don't want to hear about your problems. I don't want to hear about any of that. Dave, don't talk into the mic, but how far into this are we? This is our first podcast. 30 minutes? Jesus Christ. I'm actually proud of that. I didn't think I could turn on a camera and just talk into a microphone for 30 minutes. But, let me see. Let me see what else I have to talk about to you guys. I have some notes, but I went off immediately. My whole plan was ruined. But that's the fun thing about doing this. You live and you learn. One of these notes literally just says something about Epstein. I guess the point was just making sure that I mentioned that, Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton were on Jeffrey Epstein's plane. What was it, like 30 times? Like that's around the number I started believing Bill Cosby did the rapes. You know what I'm saying? Like at first it's like, Bill Cosby did that? No. How many people accused? 30? 30? Okay. So they're into human trafficking. I don't know if Hillary Clinton's doing the raping, but she's probably making money off of selling the rape victims. Let me take another sip before I talk about the deep state. Getting close to iced coffee. So if you don't understand what the deep state is the network of people that are in control of our government. For example, Hillary Clinton, who's by definition a career politician. And basically these people either work for or in tandem with the CIA for nobody knows what. Literally, I don't know how. This is just a complicated problem to me, because I don't know how you can have a democracy when the CIA functions independently and has no oversight from any of your elected representatives. If you don't know anything, another good example of this is if you don't know anything about Syria, Congress voted against it. This happened while I was a paratrooper stationed in Alaska serving with the 425. And we were all like, oh shit, Congress is going to vote on whether or not to go to war in Syria. So we were all watching it like a hawk, because as paratroopers, we were thinking at least that we might go to war, like rational human beings. Maybe we should pay attention to that. So then we watched Congress say, no, we should not go to war in Syria. And then the next day, bombs started dropping in Syria. I don't know how that works. That doesn't make any sense to me, but that's a fact. I think it was around like 2015-ish. Maybe 2014. I can't count. I literally don't know how to read. That's not a bit. I can't read. Imagine somebody said that to you. Imagine like you were trying to show somebody like a text. Like, yo, look at this. Like maybe you didn't know him that well. Maybe it's like your first day on the job and you want to show him a meme. And they looked you dead in the face and said, I can't read. I don't know how I'd react. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised. If spend a day in a public school and just look around. You'll be surprised by how many people can read. You'll be surprised by how many people can put together a single coherent thought. Most people can't. Most people have no idea what to think. Most people don't understand that it's not a good idea to melt the polar ice caps. People would deny climate science. People have said, well, yeah, I believe the earth is heating up, but I don't believe that it's people's fault. Okay, so you admit that climate change is happening and something should be done about it. Well, why does anything need to be done about it? Because if the ice caps melt, the fucking sea level is going to rise. Whole coastlines are going to be underwater, you retard. Like, you haven't thought about anything you've said ever. And then people get mad when you're like, hey, retard, think about it for 2 seconds. Think about what would happen if Long Island was gone. We live on an island, and you're just not worried about where the sea level is. You hear about that, and you don't think about floods. You don't think about Hurricane Sandy, because that's not what happens. It's not like it gradually, you wake up one day and the island is slowly taken over by water over the course of 50 to 100 years. Over the course of 50 to 100 years, what happens is there's just more hurricanes. There's just more storms. There's just more rain. And eventually you don't notice when, Hurricane Sandy Part 2 comes around and half of this island floods. The flood just eventually doesn't go away. So it happens in a very rapid way. And people don't understand what they're talking about. And there are people I could name. I'm not going to be that petty. But I'm sure you're watching this. I'm sure eventually you'll watch this and you'll know I'm talking to you. I had to teach you how climate science works. How stupid are you if I'm the person who's explaining how climate change works to you? If you're listening to this and you're like, wow, this guy's telling me some stuff I didn't know. Open a book. You need to do something. Open an article. It doesn't even have to be a literal book. It can be something on your phone. I don't care. But if you're listening to this and you're like, wow, you're probably not like, wow. You're probably like, eh. But if you're listening to this and you're like, wow, I didn't know that. Go look into it. Because I would prefer it if we had like a more educated society. I know there's people that think like, you're an asshole if you expect to be educated in America. People think you're an asshole if you don't want to go into hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt on your way to become a doctor. Apparently doctors are like among the highest people who kill themselves, Dave. You know that? Dave doesn't know anything. He's a ghost. Boom. But no, yeah. How fucking insane is that? Imagine like you were 15, 16 and you start to understand the way the world works. You start looking around, you're like, there's a lot of homeless people, there's a lot of disease. There's a lot of people who can't afford a doctor. Maybe I'll start open a free clinic and live off donations and just save lives as best as I can. And then you just become afraid of the amount of debt you'll have to take on. That's horrible. We have like, and I don't think art majors should have their tuition subsidized by the government. I think that's retarded. But I think engineers, scientists, physicists, doctors, mathematicians, historians, specifically historians, should have their tuition subsidized by the government. Because literally, we want an educated society. You can't have a democracy without people who understand what's going on in the world. You can't have a democracy when half the country thinks Trump's a good idea. How low is the bar for our country? How low is the bar for what you expect out of the people sitting next to you? If you just accept that they like Trump. If they're just like, yeah, man, like how low is the bar? And the worst part about it is there are valid reasons to like the guy. There's valid reasons to fucking hate the guy. He's terrible. Utterly terrible. But like doesn't that stop and make you think like, how did this guy get elected in the first place? Why is it so easy for Fox to run like a 24-hour propaganda channel? How is it so easy for them to do that? Because as a kid, I remember thinking, because they teach you about propaganda when they teach you about the Holocaust. I remember thinking, doesn't it have to be difficult to trick people into thinking a certain way, shouldn't it be difficult to do that? It's supposed to be difficult to do that, no? And Fox is just doing it willy-nilly. Tucker Carlson blows me away. Blows me away, because all he does is he puts on that stupid dumb guy face and then says something slightly racist, but it might be in a gray area. Probably not. And then he goes on to talk about the military-industrial complex. And then people go, oh, the government is stealing all of our money and creating terrorists and then begging us to go fight them. Oh, and then like keep in mind, like most of the people are very racist in this country, but they don't know that they're racists. They don't. It sounds counterintuitive, but you're not fighting people who think they hate black people. You're fighting people who think they're just doing the right thing. It's not fault they're dumb. But here on Jitters Jib Jab, we're here to educate the people. We are here to adopt the righteous threads of the Mozambican free limo fighters and cause acts of domestic terrorism. But no, we're not. We're not really going to cause acts of domestic terrorism. It's just a bit. Yeah. And if you like the bit, maybe you want to support us for some reason, tell me what you want to see. Like, this is our first episode. I'm kind of just going off the top. I have a couple notes, Really, we just wanted to set up the camera and check out the angles and check out the audio quality and see how long I could go on. Like a tad of a tangent. We wanted to see how long this could work. How long until I felt uncomfortable. And I'm starting, believe it or not, to feel uncomfortable. Dave took his shirt off. I don't know why he does that. Maybe I just wanted. He's not a. Put your pants on. Put your pants back on, Dave. Thank you. But yeah, if you like this, support us. I'm gonna make like a Patreon or something like that. It's gonna be titled Jitters Jib Jab. So I haven't checked if that name is stolen, so it might be Jitters Jib Jab 6969 or something. But yeah, like send us suggestions, send us topics. If you have my Twitter, I forgot my Twitter handle, but it's something like that. Something like Jitters. Yeah, send me a suggestion, DM me, at me. I don't give a fuck. Let me know what you want to see. I'll do anything. I am a whore. I will do anything for money. I'll take my dick out. I'm this close. I'm this close, ladies and gentlemen, to making an OnlyFans. And I say it's for the money, but it's not. It's not. I look good in a banana hammock. And the next episode, I'm not having a shirt on. So make sure you keep an eye out for that. You're going to like it. I have cute nipples. But yeah, give me suggestions and, remember to do everything you can to overthrow the government. And that's it for this podcast. Episode 1 in the books. Have a good night.